Yeah. All right, getting ready for the paint booth. I got to make new rotisseries for the wings because this big monstrosity is not going to be able to be wheeled in and out of the paint booth. Basically, here's what it looks like. If you guys want to take a good look and feel free to copy. And then this is what the final product looks like with the PVC in place. I will then run a 2x4 from this one over to that one to tie it together so that the wing can't fall out. I've got some paint guns from a previous project that are my backup plan. I've got a new paint gun that EASTWOOD Tool sent me to try. So I got their CONCOURS LT100 HVLP paint gun. I'll be using that with my air compressor unless my main system that I ordered shows up, which hopefully it will show up before I have to do any painting. Hopefully I'll get it next week. And that is one of those HVLP turbine systems where you don't have to use the air compressor.
4 batteries?
Okay, it's paint booth day. Got Cody out here. Claire's over there. They're going to be my cameramen and helpers. So what we got is we got to get these boxes out. We got the paint booth in there and the fans are in there. Don't touch it. It's already in place. Don't touch it. It'll move around. Move away from the camera. I know it's on. I turned it on.
So that's good. Oh, I think it's cold.
Not really funny, but it's kind of a little bit funny that we have what looks to be a hazmat tent in our driveway during this particular time. The neighbors have been looking at us a little weird, like something quarantine action is going on out here. But anyway, it's a paint booth. So the internal structure is done, day one of the paint booth. Got a way to keep the paint booth up without having the fans running. That was accomplished. So moving forward tomorrow, it is to start messing around with the paint gun, do a lot of practice sprays with some cardboard, and then I'm gonna move the tail pieces in and start with those with the poly brush being sprayed on. The reason I made those supports in the paint booth with wheels on them, it was kind of expensive to do it that way, but I can wheel them out, deflate the tent, roll it up, stick it inside, and it's safe from getting wet. So day one with the paint booth is complete. I'll give a little more detail about it in a walk around tomorrow now that it's up and I don't have to have the fan on to have it up. So stay tuned for more tomorrow on paint. All right, good morning guys. So just wanted to show you the paint booth. It is currently deflated, so I was able to build a structure, and I'll go in there in a minute and show you that, but to hold it up so that when I turn off the fan it doesn't collapse in on my project, so that way I can paint something and leave it in there and let it dry. There are 2 fans on the back here. The one on the outside inflates the structure of the paint booth, and then the one on the left is the one that pressurizes it and blows clean filtered air in there and then forces the air back out through the side filters, which currently have the cover on them. So let me take you around this side. I'll show you how those covers pop off. And the reason it's deflated right now while I'm shooting this is so you don't hear the fans running. They are pretty loud. This center structure tube has a zipper for deflating it quickly. You open that up while the air dumps out. If that's open, it also won't inflate. So it's going to be loud. Here we go. Okay, so there's your filter. So this whole panel comes off. Air filters back out from the paint booth. And then you can see the same type filters on that back wall. That's where that one fan blows fresh air in, and then it filters through those into the paint booth and then out these. So it's constantly clearing or refreshing the air with filtered clean air. So it's about 28 feet long, 15 feet wide, and 10 feet high when it's inflated. It's plenty of room, I think, to put both wings in there at the same time. All right, so my first impressions of the paint booth are it's pretty darn cool for really what you're. It's expensive, but what you get is pretty amazing. So, you got some really good windows between the back door and the side windows. So the lighting in here is real good. I probably won't hang any additional lights and see how it goes without them. What we did here with these wooden structures is come up. I taped padding around the corners so that they wouldn't poke through the fabric. But they just basically mimic the air tubes. And then, like I said, I can just wheel them out through the door when it's inflated and then put the thing away pretty quickly. Big door, you know, full size. It is 8 feet high. But I figure I can fit one wing here, another wing here on the rotisserie. The fuselage obviously will fit in here no problem. I mean, this is all the way to the back wall. But yeah, the construction of this thing is pretty nice, really, for what you get. I think it was about $1,300 for the whole paint booth. The zippers are all really nice. There is extra filters. And I don't know if they're just the ones that go over here or if they're the main big filters as well, but there's extra filters. There is a room back here. So basically this is well, it's deflated right now, but this is a clean room. It also has a door on it. So you could set up like a table in here and do all your mixing of paint. You know, whatever you want to do, you can do that in here. So, but basically that's the paint booth. So we're getting going here on the painting, and I've got one coat down on the tail and the back side of the wing. Used the what is it, 2032 cleaner, 2210. So I used the 2210 cleaner. You gotta wait 2 hours between using that cleaner and laying down paint. So like I said, my sprayer system didn't show up, so I had to go to the HVLP air compressor system. I started out using the new EASTWOOD tool gun, and it has a lot more adjustments, so I was fiddling around with it for quite a while to get a good pattern. It doesn't seem to spray as wide a fan as my older gun, so I couldn't get as much volume on it, so I had to make a lot more passes because it's a real narrow spray band. And there is a band adjustment, and I messed around with that, and I just couldn't get it to fan out, or fan adjustment. I couldn't get it to fan out as much as this one, so I went back to my old gun for now. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this gun cleaned up because it's going to be 2 hours between this and the next coat. And I'll keep you guys updating as we get more coats on, see what it looks like. So far, so good. So we got until tomorrow night with good weather. Then it's going to rain Sunday night, tomorrow Sunday. It'll rain Monday and Tuesday. So hopefully we get back out here and up again for Wednesday, Thursday, and start going with the silver coats. So if I don't need another coat of the poly brush today or tomorrow, I can start in with the silver. And I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and keep working on the pieces that are in there. And then I'll get back to the fuselage when I have more time. Just today, starting out with the tail to when I was finishing up with the wing, I'm starting to get the movement, keeping the gun a constant distance and a constant speed. There's a lot of technique there, but when you start doing that, the other thing you start watching is the overlap. When I started, I was doing too far between my spray patterns, so it wasn't laying down enough, and it'd be like little gaps of paint. So I tightened up my overlap. That really helped. Kept it consistent about 8 inches or so off of the surface, and just a kind of an even pace. You know, nothing too fast. If you go too fast, you're not getting it on. You go too slow, it will bunch up and it will run. So there was some definite learning, and I tell you, just holding this camera, my shoulder is on fire, because you're holding that whole apparatus I have with everything being filtered right on the gun. It's pretty heavy, and holding it up like this, you know, I probably had 2 hours of gun work today. So you better start doing some curls before you get into this, because it does work your shoulder out. I'm sure it'll be sore tomorrow. The only thing I would add to this setup is lights. I do have some clamp-on floodlights down in my hangar, and we go into California statewide, I guess you call it quarantine, you know, shelter in place. We're not allowed to leave unless we're essential starting tonight at midnight. So I really should run down right now, actually, to the hangar. I got to grab an extra extension cord and those floodlights. So I think I'll go do that. I don't really want to run to town, but I think I should probably do that before it becomes a misdemeanor to leave the house. All right, good morning. I'm getting going on the second coat of poly fiber brush on the wings and the tail surfaces. Everything's dry and ready for that second coat. Now remember, in the manual, the coats for the poly brush are a medium coat, 2 hours wait, and then a glossy coat. That's one coat. So really it's 2 coats. But it takes quite a bit of paint. So what I wanted to go over real quick is how you mix this up. I got your poly brush. This is my mixer. This is the reducer. So if you're below 85 degrees in temperature, you're going to use the 65-75 reducer. And it's 1 part to 3 parts. So on this particular mix, I did 16 ounces of the reducer, and then the rest with the poly brush. Looks like I'm a little shy, so I'll put a little bit more in there, get that mix right. And then what I've been doing is putting that into one of my empty containers, pre-mixed, so I have it all ready to go. I can just keep filling the paint hopper, and that way I don't have to stop and mix it continuously. So mix it up about a half a gallon at a time. So far, I've gone through, not quite a gallon on the first coat of all of that. Hoping that I'm at least 1 coat of silver on everything by the end of the week. Man, I think it's really hot in there. Sweating up a storm. I had to actually stop a couple times because I was dripping sweat into the paint. But we got the first coat of silver. The poly spray is on everything. I think realistically it's probably best idea to let it go ahead and dry today. Wheel everything out because I have to take everything down because of the rain coming. So probably won't get that second coat on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put everything away today, and we'll get back out on Wednesday hopefully. Just like that, paint booth's put away. It actually went pretty quick. You can see behind me all the wooden structure that goes in it. And then I wasn't too concerned about getting it bundled to it real tight so it'd go back in the bag. I don't know if it'll ever go back in the bag, but there it is. We just roll it back out in a couple days and do it all again. So for now, I'll move on to doing some sanding work on these. Got all the parts there. And then tomorrow, because it's going to be rainy, I'm also going to work on masking off the fuselage so that it's ready to go. Good morning, we got day 3 of the painting. I got the paint booth back up again. I did take it down earlier, put it back up. The fuselage is in there. And I'm getting ready to lay down the first coat of poly brush sprayed on. Okay guys, so I got the first coat, first half of the coat of the poly brush. There you go. So you can see that darker pink. It pinks up really nice. I did the bottom as well. I've got it on a front rotisserie and then just on a stand on the back. So when I want to, I can just lay it over onto its side and get the bottom. So we'll let that dry for 2 hours, and then I'll go back over it with one more glossy coat of the poly brush, and that counts as one coat. And then 4 hours, and then hopefully I can get another one on. Alright, so while I'm waiting for the first coat to dry on the poly brush on the fuselage, I decided to go ahead and get going on the sanding. So I already did this side. You just saw that. You can see how it takes off quite a bit of the silver. It's kind of rid of the shininess. Goes back to dull. Couple runs that I got from the paint gun dripping. So those are 320. Yeah, 320 grit sandpaper as recommended by Polyfiber. I'm going to grab the irons heating up right now. I'm going to go over the bottom side and look for any imperfections that need to be ironed down. For example, I've got a little wrinkle right here. Now, either I couldn't see that before with the poly brush on there, or by putting the chemicals on there, it released the glue enough for some, for things to move just a little bit. A little bubble right here and right there. I'll hit that. That'll go down. That's it. So what I'm finding is that there's very few spots that need attention after the silver. And the silver is the one that's supposed to really show your mistakes. So I'm really happy about that. Spent a lot of time in the prep work, a lot of time going over all these edges with the iron to try to make sure that everything was good and ready for the paint. Now I'm finding just a couple little ones that need touch up, and that's it. So that means I did a good job of prepping it for the paint. I'm telling you, man, Vortex looks better and better every day. Maybe I get them to sponsor my next build or something, because this is going to look awesome. It's going to be a really cool custom color paint job, one that I really like, and that's really what matters. I'll be proud of it. But man, is it taking forever. So probably several hours of sanding here. I've got 4 hours before I can lay down the second coat of poly brush on the fuselage. And this is what I'm concerned about. As it starts to cloud up, it's getting pretty dark over there. We do have a radar weather app showing a band of moisture coming in. and behind that it's clear. So if I can get through this passage of clouds without any rain, I'll be good.
Cody, get on the backside. Not there, I'm not like...
Oh, perfect. Yeah, you don't want this.
Cody, move.
All right, so you saw I just took the paint booth down. It's pretty quick, really. It takes 15 minutes to do it. Good day. It's well, it's about 5 o'clock. So, I had about an hour and a half to go still before I could put another coat on it anyways. And watch, it probably won't rain now. It's just going to get real dark and not rain, but I think it's actually going to rain. So it looks like I made the right decision in putting the paint booth away this afternoon or this evening. It did end up raining. The forecast was completely opposite of that today. It was supposed to rain this morning and be good all afternoon. So I did get one coat on the fuselage, and hopefully this weather will clear out and I can get it back up again tomorrow. Taking it down, putting it up, I'd rather not do that, but I'm glad it's inside, not getting all wet. So we'll get back at it tomorrow. All right, we're done with the polyfiber coats on everything. So the second coat's done on the fuselage. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at how it came out. Just went over it with an iron, look for any areas that needed a last minute ironing on the seams, tapes. It's got a good coat. Nice thick, almost orange looking now. It's pretty much dry, got about another 30 minutes. So I'm gonna start mixing up the poly spray silver, or the UV protectant. Yeah, really nice. You see almost like a gloss finish on it. Looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm gonna go over the poly spray mix. The poly brush that we did, I talked about earlier, was a 3 parts to 1. The poly spray is 4 parts to 1. So it's a little bit thicker because you have more of the paint, less of the reducer. I'm still using the 65-75 reducer, and that's really based on our temperature. We're about 53 degrees in the shade today, but the inside of the paint booth being in the sun, that greenhouse effect is probably about 75. So I've got about 25 minutes to go on the drying on the fuselage. So I've got everything mixed up. The gun's ready to go. I'll inflate the paint booth back up and get ready to shoot here in about 20 minutes. So I'll set up the camera. I didn't record that last coat of the poly brush on the fuselage because it was the same as the other one. There's nothing new to see there. But I will set it up for the silver to go down because that would be cool to see. Alright guys, that wraps up another long week of work. As you guys are all dealing with the same thing we are, we're right in the middle of March, or end of March actually. We are sheltering in place in California at home, governor's orders. I'm fine with it. I would have been home all week anyways working on the airplane. But what's going on is all real scary, and I hope everybody's staying safe. A lot of you have asked what I do for a living, and I'm a helicopter EMS pilot. And tomorrow I'm going to be jumping back into that for a week and dealing with what's going on. we have been asked to transport those patients when the need comes up. That's a little scary because of the potential exposure, not to just me, but them bringing it home. So it makes me nervous to have to go back to work, but it's my job. I'm going to do it. And I want you guys all to do your part and keep your separation. Let's get this thing, let's run the course and get it out of the way so we can move on with our lives. That being said, it was a productive week and it was a good distraction working on the plane. I didn't have to think about what's going on at work. And that's one of the great things about these projects is it is a great stress reliever, a great place to focus your mind and be productive. So it was a very productive week. Let's show you how productive it was. After this week, everything's silver. I'm very excited about that. I've got a little bit of touch up to do as far as a little iron work, and then I got to go over and sand the fuselage. The wings have been all sanded and they're ready for the next coat. They don't look so pristine anymore because of the sanding. There are places that I had a hair or something, I had to take it back down to the pink. And I'll sand it all up, but now they're ready for the second cross coat. Now we do 3 cross coats minimum, and basically the test is going to be if we hold a 60-watt light bulb up to the fabric, put our head on the inside, can we see that light or not? As soon as we can no longer see the light, then we have enough on. There's no reason to put more on after that. It's just extra weight. So we put on coats until we block out the light. That means you're blocking out the UV, and then you're good to go. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this one up here just because I like to keep these things around 30 minutes. And we'll jump back in on the next episode, getting those last 2 coats of silver and then the color coats. And hopefully by the end of that next episode, we'll have, I've got the brakes en route, should be here in 3 days. I've already got the landing gear. So at the end of that next video, what I want to show you guys is a rolling chassis in color. So that's my goal for the next video. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button. We're so close to 10,000 guys. You didn't push me up over the 10,000 mark on that last video about the helmets. I hope you caught that and I hope you thought about it. But hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like it, and keep hitting me up with the comments. Give me some feedback on my painting skills. This is my first project really doing a lot of painting. So any tips you have, feed them to me now. That way when I get to the color code, I'll have some of those pointers you guys have for me. I don't know if you noticed in the time lapse, the first couple coats, I was turning the gun sideways like an idiot. And then I realized you can just flip the nozzle, and then for your coat in the opposite direction, you don't have to tilt the gun. Seriously. It's those things that you learn while you're doing it, but to those of you that paint a lot, it's pretty obvious. You're probably laughing at that one. So anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We'll get this thing in color and on wheels pretty soon.